today who is going to be working with you. So Annie is our Heritage and our Future Project Officer. And Annie, if you'd like to take control of the presentation now, I can come back at the very end of the session to say a quick few things before we finish. But lovely to meet you all. And Annie, I'll hand over control to you now and look forward to hearing what you've come to talk about.
Thank you, Josh. It's very lovely to be here today, and it's nice to see so many of you here as well. So welcome. My name, as Josh has said, is Annie Rogers, and I am part of the Our Heritage, Our Future team. And for the past year, we have been developing a new topic, brand new topic for eco schools under the banner of Heritage. So here we go. I'll probably ask you throughout for some ideas. So usual, you can use the chat box, or if you want to share anything up on your screens, then that would be lovely. So in this introduction to heritage, we will be able to understand the meaning of heritage, identify examples of heritage, establish the link to climate change, be able to add heritage to your action plan, and also to have a few ideas to explore. First, before we start, just a little question. How many Tunnocks wafers are sold each week? Any ideas? There are 3.5 million Tunnocks wafers sold every week. Now, I've brought this up because it's a family-run business from Uddingston, near Glasgow. It is formed by Thomas Tunnock, and it was opened as a single bakery back in 1890. Now, he was the start of that family empire, but before that, his father actually ran the coffin making business in the town. So that's a bit of a diversification from that business into making one of the most popular biscuits to come out of the area. Anyway, so through your adventure through heritage, you will learn to explore, investigate, research, to record, and also to protect the heritage that is around you. So first of all, we can start at getting you out of the school gates, exploring the local area, talking to people that are close to you, discovering their stories, examine buildings and people that shaped it. And by exploring and investigating, you will develop new skills for also collecting information through research. You'll be able to record or write down the information to share with others. And you'll also find ways to help protect heritage. So another question. So keeping in mind a few examples that I've just mentioned. What is heritage? Have you got any ideas? What does heritage mean to you?
That's a brilliant question, Annie. We've got some answers coming in now. I was actually going to ask you a question now, but I'll take a step back and let these answers come in. Can you see the chat, Annie, or do you want me to read the...
I've got, yep. See it now?
Brilliant.
So we've got old things, our history, and natures and nature reserves. All very good answers, and all correct answers, I might add. So heritage can be all around you, and it's found in various places, whether it be very old or even new things as well. So here we have what we've used as a little example to get you looking at heritage within the school grounds or just outside the school gates. The little bingo card there. On there we have signposts, so different street names. Why is a street called the name that it is? Or is it quite straightforward, like High Street? Or has it got a person's name attached to it and the reasons why? Different types of buildings, could be large. They call them municipal buildings, like libraries or council buildings, or little small ones like cottages. Dates on buildings, very easy to spot, like the 1875, they can be carved into the building. Different types of shops, old bakeries, chemists, different kind of things like that. Waterways, now we've got canals, which are actually scheduled monuments, or we've got the rivers as well that help connect our towns and cities. Railways, statues, iron railings, and also our parks. These are just some of the examples of where you can find heritage, and probably where you could find them maybe on your way to and from school, or to and from wherever it is you go for your other adventures. So another little question. Can you name the large metal or steel monument that sits next to the motorway and the Forth and Clyde Canal? Does anyone know what that monument is? There's a few answers coming in. Very good. I think we've all got that one. It is indeed the Kelpies. Now the Kelpies, they stand 100 foot tall, and you can see them when you drive past them on the motorway. The Kelpie's name, it reflects the mythological transforming of beasts that possess strength and the endurance of 100 horses. So, where can we find heritage? So an exercise that we've done, which is really quite helpful, is to, instead of looking at desks and computers, is to get ourselves up and out and around and just use the tools that we've got. So we decide to go with start with the senses. So you can see it, you know, in maps, in buildings, and in films. You can smell it, different flowers, different foods, different industry, different perfumes. You can hear heritage through songs, stories, and folklore. You can hear it in the wildlife. You know, if there's a certain type of bird song at a certain time of year, we all know when the geese are coming across because we can hear them. They're very, very loud. And also through different language. So I think in previous lessons, you've talked about Gaelic. There's the Scots language, and there's also all the different other languages that help make up our communities. We can touch it, different textures, maybe a wood carving, and also through different skills and crafts. So maybe needlework or machinery work. And finally, we can taste it. Different types of foods, sweet, sour, salty, and spicy. Different communities have different emphasis on certain tastes, and it's something that we recognise. So there are lots of doing words and action words within heritage, which is always quite handy when you're sort of starting out on a topic. So here we've got a picture of a vintage clothing store. This is Mr. Ben's in Glasgow. Some of you may know it. It sits quite near the river. So we can wear it. Vintage clothes, traditional dress. Some people may say that a Santa hat is traditional dress. It's up to you, or maybe cowboy boots. You can repair it. So upcycling, reusing things. Mechanics as well, you know, basic skills in machinery and fixing things. You can build it. We build houses, we build and we design gardens, and especially with the canals and the roads and the railways, we build traditional travel routes. And we can also craft using different types of materials, techniques, and also training with learning crafts that may be going out of fashion, or there might not be enough people around to actually complete them anymore. Play is extremely important, we think, within heritage. You know, playing together as teams and communities is a great way to celebrate heritage. There's play in performance like theatre and dance. You know, there's play in games, maybe like hopscotch or board games. There's play in sports like ice hockey and football. And all of these have links to heritage and traditions that we share and that we pass on to new generations. So by investigating heritage, lessons can be taken and adapted for your story. In remembering how we inherited knowledge, we can use the resources all around us to make decisions about our place and our stories. So I'm going to move on to another question. Okay. You've probably heard of Hadrian's Wall and another wall further up the country, the Antonine Wall. But, straight in there. But who built them? Yes, it was the Romans. They were built as defensive structures, and they're now protected heritage sites, and you can visit them today. You can learn about them as well if you're doing maybe a Romans topic in the classroom. Heritage and climate change. What are the links? Why are we talking about heritage within eco schools? Well, we understand that being climate ready is an important step in your eco school journey. We learn about the immediate effects of climate change and what it's having upon our place and spaces. And when we look at that within the eco schools topic, it's no different when we're thinking about heritage as well. So we know about events like heat waves, floods, and storms. You understand the effects that they have. And in the next section, we'll see three types of heritage, or the three types of heritage, and how climate affects them. So as I said, there are 3 types of heritage, 3 big categories. The first one is natural. Woodlands, anything outdoors, mountains, hills, nature. Now here we have an example of what would have been an ancient woodland formed by glaciers, but damaged by the storms. So a nice grand tree, big storm comes along and takes it up at the roots. I mean, we all want to protect our trees and woodlands, and the changing climate is creating bigger storms that can damage our trees. Has anyone seen any fallen over trees in the last few years? Castle Kennedy? Yeah, there are quite a lot. Okay, the second type of heritage is built heritage. So here's a picture of some nice tenement buildings made of sandstone. Some of you may live in them. You know, and over hundreds of years that they've been used, tenement buildings were homes, community spaces, and workplaces. These buildings have done a lot of work, but in very hot and very cold weather, the sandstone that they are made of has been damaged. But don't worry, professionals are about, and they do help repair any damage, but help with the climate change is also important. And there you see where the sandstone has actually slipped off the side of the building. It's just where water gets in and it just cracks it away. Cultural heritage. It's a bit more of a rounded part and takes into consideration stories, tales, performance, events as well. So things that happen every year, maybe like a gala or a tradition that happens all the time that's specific to your place. Now, this is a curling tournament that was traditionally held on a frozen loch. Milder winters meant that it was last held officially in 1979. But unofficially, they managed to get a tournament played on the Lake of Menteith in 2010. But more frequently, they're indoors now. We've probably seen the championships or either national championships or Olympics in indoor rinks. So a question, how many people are in a curling team? Correct, 4. I know this picture shows 1 player, but professional teams consist of 4, or anybody's team consists of 4. Each player has a throws 2 stones in each end, and when 1 player throws a stone, 2 focus on the sweeping, and the last member directs both thrower and the sweepers. Have any of you had a go or even play? Wow. So how to get involved? So we didn't create this new topic by ourselves. We did have a bit of help from some other schools. So we had 4 very different schools work with us to develop. We went through the same process as we've done today, explaining what heritage means and where you can find it. These 4 schools then went on to create new actions to add to plans they already had. Here are some examples of the work they did, just to give you a few ideas. Okay, this is Cumbernauld Village Family Learning Centre, and they are in Cumbernauld. They're an early years group, and they have been looking at weaving, which is a traditional skill, weaving by hand. So they've created this little wheel that you can see here, and the children have been weaving in throughout the wheel to actually create a lovely pattern. And they've also been looking at heritage crops and using those within the centre's garden there and their vegetable patch. The primary school we work with was St Patrick's in Coatbridge. They, on initial investigation, started with creating stories that they found that they made from items in an old suitcase. So the case, it contained photos, music, little toys, other items that helped them build a picture of who it might have been belonged to, or who it might have belonged to. They looked towards food as well, you know, to try and bring the community together. They realised that there were lots of different people coming in from various communities across the world coming to live in their area. So they've produced this cookbook of recipes that mean something to everybody's family. So they put a call out, and they're trying to get this to go to print so that they can reinvest back into their eco projects within the school and the community at Coatbridge. Falkirk High School, they discovered that there was a local tartan, and they've also done a little festival with a young chap who does actually play the pipes rather well, around the origins of the iron brew factory, which was invented only half a mile away from their school. So they had a big afternoon doing that, and that young chap got his pipes out again, which was fantastic fun. And this school, this is Ashton Secondary. Now, they use traditional cooking methods to make jam, and that was from strawberries that they've actually grown on their school grounds. You can see one of the pupils there in the polytunnel that they have. They've also created stained glass windows out of paper and... Okay, no problem. They've also created stained glass windows out of paper and card, and it is that was very successful. And they've also created Christmas cards in craft sessions. And they discovered that the school was built on the site of an old dairy and a creamery where milk was processed and butter was made. So they did some tests within the classroom to see if they could make their own butter, and then used it on their crumpets and their muffins to taste it to see what they liked. So there was a full evaluation process within that. Okay, the action plan. So this is Ashton's action plan. So they had their aims in there, various aims around the points that I've just raised, the making of the jam and also the making of the butter, with their actions and their measuring as well. So selecting the heritage topic, it will be live to select as of August. And we look forward to seeing all of the work that comes in. And I'd just like to thank you for listening to me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for everything that you shared, Annie. That was brilliant. I love how much of a detective you can be in this topic, going out and
Yeah.
learning about the history that's all around us, be it kind of physical or, you know, music or songs or food and language. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take control now, just for a few final things. Yeah, so as Annie said, it would be lovely to see or hear about any of the work that you are doing. Just a reminder that our next Eco School event is this Friday. It's our International Celebration Assembly. So I'll be there in the morning and would be lovely to see as many of you there with us then as well. And we are celebrating our 30th birthday of Eco Schools. And so we're going to be running a series of challenges with exciting prizes for all schools to take part in. And that is starting in August 2024. So this August. So keep an eye out for that. The final part of the celebration will include an invitation for all schools in Scotland to join us and hold their own One Planet picnic towards the end of the school year. So keep an eye out for information on that from us. And just a final thank you. So thank you so much, Annie, for that wonderful presentation you've given.
Absolute pleasure.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, immediate questions, you can pop them in the chat. But if not, that's all from us. Have a lovely rest of your day and hopefully see lots of you with us back here on Friday. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.